And now, an Envision Financial podcast with Luke Smith on Canberra's 2CC.
I can't believe it's that time of the week again already. Luke Smith, good afternoon.
It's amazing how quickly Friday comes around, isn't it?
The funny thing is you spend each day during the week going, oh, it's dragging on, it's going so slow, and then all of a sudden, bang, it's Friday. And you go, oh, yeah. Gee, where did that go?
I know, it just whips past, doesn't it? It's crazy. It's
Indeed.
phenomenal.
All right, here we are to answer the difficult questions about personal finances, and today's question is a doozy. What is a transfer amount in the PSS and what can I do with it?
Yes.
You're on your own on this one. I know nothing about it.
No, look, and this is a little bit specific, this one, but I just want to clear this one up because I've had plenty of people come in this week and go, look how much I've got. I'm going to divide that by my pension conversion factor. How come I'm not getting the number that's on the paperwork? So what is a transfer amount? It is simply, as the name says, it's money that you have transferred or rolled over into the PSS, which is one of the defined benefit schemes here in Canberra. So there's plenty of people in it, and to work out whether you have a transfer amount or not, the easiest thing to do is to get hold of your 2025 statement, and on the second page of that statement it says final average salary multiplied by your accrued benefit multiple gives you defined benefit value, and they're in light green circles. And then at the bottom of the page it says total value. And for anybody that's a member, they will notice that the circle at the bottom of the page is a different colour green to the colour of the defined benefit circles. And if you look down to the right of that bottom circle, it says transfer amount in the bottom box of that page, and there will either be a number or it will be zero. Now, what does that mean?
That was what I was about to say. Yeah. What does that mean?
So that simply reflects the value of a superannuation interest that you may have had when you join the public service. People might come in and join and go, okay, I'm now in this fund. Oh, I had 100 grand, I had 20 grand, 30 grand, $900 in Australian super. And most HR places will say something like, oh, do you want to just all bring it together? And you go, okay, sure. And 15 years ago, you rolled something over, and that is where a transfer amount has come from. Now, why is it important to understand what you can do with that? We know that the PSS plays by a different set of rules when it comes to accessing your entitlements. What I mean by that, for people that don't know, is that from 55 years of age and onward, you can elect to quit work and take the pension component or a mix of pension and lump sum from the PSS. And normal superannuation, people have a preservation age of 60. So that's one of the key anomalies of this fund and the rules that were written many, many years ago. So if you have a transfer amount and you are a contributing member, let's say you wanted to reduce your taxable income. What you can do is you can make your 10% contribution, which is best, to the PSS, and you keep doing that for every year you are gainfully employed if you want to maximise your benefit when you retire. What you can do if you had a transfer amount, if I was in that fund, I would look to roll that transfer amount over to a normal accumulation superannuation account, just anything outside of the PSS. Okay, so you roll it over and you put it into Fund A. That is great seed capital for you to then say, oh, I'd love a tax deduction. What I'd then do is I'd call up the PSS and I would say, hey, how much do you record against my concessional contribution limit? And the person on the phone will read out a number. And let's say they read out $15,000. That says to me that I have used $15,000 of my $30,000 limit. So I've rolled over my transfer amount. I have another super fund outside of the PSS. And if I was to put $15,000 into that second fund, I could claim 100% of that money as a tax deduction. So if I earn $100,000 of salary, I now have taxable income of $85,000. And that's going to be good because my effective marginal tax rate is going to be more than 15% if I earn 100 grand, and I pay 15% putting money into super. So if you are a contributing member and you have a transfer amount and you want control of it, You might say, well, I'm 40, I've got $50,000 sitting there and I get the crediting rate of the fund. You can't choose what you pick. You can't pick an investment. You can't pick shares or ETFs. You just get what you get. Okay? If I roll that 50 grand over, I might say, well, I've got 20 years till I can get it. Let's ramp this up and make it as aggressive as I'm comfortable with, and let's ride the lightning for the next 20 years. At least you have control over it. If you're over 60, however, you would have the ability to roll over the transfer amount, and then you might say, say I've got a big one. I saw one this week, 250,000. I've got 250,000. I'm 60. I really think I'd benefit from the transition to retirement rules. I'd like to take 25,000 a year at 10% and use that to reduce my work hours. Now, if that transfer amount stays in the PSS is not entitled or doesn't allow you to use the transition to retirement legislation. So if you're over 60 and have a transfer amount, think about looking at your statement and checking, because if you're over 60 and can use the transition to retirement rules, it would be very advantageous for you to consider taking advantage of that. But if you leave it where it is, you can't do anything with it. If you're going to finish work under the age of 60, you can take a full pension out of your benefit from PSS, but when you get your exit statement and they do their calculation, it will give you your pension entitlement. It tells you how much you'll get on a fortnightly basis. And at the bottom of that second page, it will say, you have a transfer amount of $50,000. This is compulsorily preserved, which in English says, you've got to roll this to a super fund because it doesn't get the benefit of the special rules that the pension is entitled to in the PSS scheme. So compulsorily preserved says it's got to stay in a normal super fund until you're 60. You can't cash it out. Now, if you're over 60 and you take your benefits, they'll give you the choice. Do you want to cash it out? Do you want to roll it over? What do you want to do? Because you've met Commonwealth preservation age. So the transfer amount in the PSS is a really powerful tool that I think a lot of people discount the value of because they don't know where it's come from, or they forgot, oh yeah, I had that back in the day. That was about 25 years ago. I rolled that in. But it's something that you can then utilise as seed capital for another fund where you may want to make contributions. You could use it as a transition to retirement capital base. But if control is something that's important to you, that's something to consider because it doesn't affect the calculation of your pension entitlements under the formula for that fund. And that is clearly sort of illustrated on the second page of a 2025 statement when it gives you the formula for the value of your pension component and then lists the transfer amount at the bottom because it's just effectively a cash lump sum.
Now, I told you at the beginning I know nothing about PSS, but you've raised something that does intrigue me. Mm-hmm. When you take this transfer amount and you put it back into what you might describe as a normal superannuation account, you talk about having more control over that money and how it's invested. Now, in order to achieve that control, then you have to consider what sort of super fund am I putting it in? Which provider am I going to use? Because they're all different, aren't they?
Correct, exactly right. And again, what you do with it, look, it might be a non-event. You might have $25,000 there and you go, whatever. But $25,000 ramped up to, 90% growth over a 10, 15-year period could have a lot of value. You might have, like I said, I saw one this week, $257,000. Now, you roll that over and control that. You've got a lot of control over, do I buy shares? Do I buy ETFs? How do I feel about risk? Do I use the transition to retirement rules? Where am I going to put it? And what are the flexibilities that I want to have? Which is very, very advantageous when you look at your broader retirement position. So you've got to understand where it's going to go. You're going to understand the value of moving it. Now, I'm not saying you have to. And depending on the balance, you might, I've got $6,000 there. You know what? Just leave it there. Because you're not going to go and roll over $6,000 if you don't intend to make a contribution. It's great seed capital because you can open a fund, have a starting balance. And all you do to roll it over is call up the PSS and say, hey, I'd like to roll over my transfer amount, and they send you a form. You put your new super fund details on it, you sign it, you send it back to them, and it's all done for you electronically. When that transfer amount is rolled over, the other assumption that people make is, that'll count towards my cap and affect what I can put into super this year. No. It's already in the super water. all you're doing is scooping it out of the pool and putting it in another pool. It's not treated as a contribution because it's already in the super world. So it won't have any impact on your ability to add money to the fund. It won't have any impact on your ability to claim a tax deduction and reach your concessional limit. And rolling it over has no detrimental calculation methodology that's applied to the defined benefit income stream that you could take, because it's completely separate. So you can't hurt your benefits. A lot of people come in and go, oh, if I roll that over, my pension will be less. No, because it's got nothing to do with your pension. You don't peel open a banana and find an apple inside. Okay, a banana is a banana and an apple is an apple. So don't let, water cooler talk affect your appreciation of what's there, because it's, again, at the end of the day, it's a resource, it's a tool that you can use, and people should make the most of it, knowing that they're not going to hurt their pension entitlements when they finish.
So when you're choosing another super fund outside, what should you be looking for? Because my understanding is that if you go for a basic so-called industry super fund, it doesn't really offer you the choices and the control that you're looking for.
No, potentially it couldn't. And that's where it really comes down to, what does each fund offer? Because some industry funds have better options than others. Some industry funds will give you the ability to buy some ETFs and some shares. Others may not. You might end up with 4 or 5 generic options. And that's where I caution people for just having an approach of saying, well, I'll just roll it to the PSSAP because that's PSS and this is PSSAP and it's all the same. No, they're not the same. They're very, very different. And PSS as a vehicle is very, very limited. There are 4 investment options. They're not great. It's not cheap. You can't buy shares, you can't buy ETFs, you can't buy managed funds. You can't do a lot of stuff. And it's not like, oh, well, this one's super cheap, so I'll wear that. No. You want to be looking at a fund, again, that'll be driven by the value that you're going to roll over and the ancillary strategies you may consider, like additional contributions. But as long as something lets you choose a risk option that's appropriate for you, has good transparency, has good investment clarity and asset allocation, and has insurance options, because it may be that you want to fund some insurance for your family. You can't do it with a great deal of certainty through the PSS, but if you rolled over 20 or 30,000 to an industry fund or another fund and then took out insurance and paid for the insurance out of your super, there's another benefit of considering use of the transfer amount to put your family in a better position where it's appropriate for your needs. So there's a bit to think about.
Yeah, there certainly is. Luke Smith from Envision Financial is with me in the studio today, and we're talking about the transfer amount in the PSS, what it is and what you can do with it. Luke, can you tell me what are the key things people need to remember?
Yeah, so first of all, keep in mind that this has nothing to do with your pension entitlements, and the movement of it is not going to affect you adversely in any way, shape or form. You have the ability to roll it over now. You don't have to be at 60 to get it. And another big misconception I get is, oh, I can't touch that till I'm 60 because it's normal super. No, you can roll it over now. You can't withdraw it from super until you meet a condition of release like normal super, but it doesn't have to sit in the PSS. It has, as I said, it has no impact on your pension calculation, so you can't hurt yourself. If you're over 60 and you have a transfer amount, you can either roll it over or cash it out. You'll be given that option, and that's on the benefit estimate from the PSS when they give you your final figures for the date that you intend to leave. You can roll it over as seed capital to open another fund. That would be advantageous if you were going to look to try and make deductible contributions, because another big misconception in the PSS is, well, I put in 10%, I can't do anything else. Garbage. You can put contributions in like a normal person, and you actually get a bit of a free kick there, because I don't think they actually reflect the employer value of the benefit to the nth degree, but that's been a perennial issue for years. But take advantage of that, because you can put in 10% as the maximum, and you can make deductible contributions to another fund. And I don't say another fund because the PSS is bad. I say another fund because that fund does not allow, under its rules, that type of contribution to come in. So think about the use of the transfer amount. Think about the use of the transfer amount if you're over 60 for potentially transition to retirement benefits. Because if you can take 10% of a big number, that might allow you to reduce your work hours and might allow you to pay off some debt with tax-free money. There are a range of things that you may consider there. You may even use the transition to retirement legislation as a funding source for a deductible contribution. Take it out, put it back into another account. Just depends how complicated you want to make it. But think outside the box. You also then have the ability to have a greater degree of control over what happens with that transfer amount. So if you do have a number of years until you're 60, you might think about cranking it up and getting it growing. So there are a range of reasons why you would think about it. To find it again, benefit calculation page of your 2025 statement, light green circles, dark green circle at the bottom. Look to the right of that dark green circle. It's in the box at the bottom of that second page. Transfer amount, it's in the middle of the box. They give you a number to the cent, and it's on every statement that you will receive if you have a component such as this. So think about its use, understand what you can do with it, and know that it won't affect your pension, so you've got a lot of choices.
So, Luke, where can listeners get more information?
Yeah, office number 6260-4749. We've got envisionfinancial.com.au on the internet. We've got the podcast, The Strategy Stacker. Luke Talks Money on iTunes and Spotify. We've got Envision Financial Canberra, where we've got a backlog of all of our shows together that you can watch on YouTube. And there's Smart Money Strategy, your ultimate guide to financial planning, where there is not a chapter on the PSS, which in hindsight, I probably should have included.
Well, I don't know. PSS is kind of peculiar to Canberra, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit out of the box.
There you go. Something a little special for the good people of Canberra. Luke, thanks very much.
Thanks. See you next week.
And we will catch up with Luke again at the same time next Friday afternoon between 4:30 and 5 right here on 2CC.